There he is. There we are. Happy hump day again to you, Garrett. How's it going?
Good, good man. How are you doing?
Good. It's a beautiful day in Raleigh, North Carolina. No, it's not. It's raining. It's cloudy. It's like a late November day here today. Um, but the tropics finally, maybe, waking up.
Maybe
Maybe.
a little bit more convective activity out there. So there's at least some forcing changes going on that are maybe making things a little bit more favorable. But we'll see how that plays out in the next 7 to 10 days, and where the trends go are important.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a first name storm in what, 3 weeks?
Yeah,
Something
if it
like
can
that.
get there, if can get there, the zero Z GFS threw a little curveball and tried to not have it develop at all, which would be
Yeah.
that's when you can declare maybe things dead and gone if that were the case with Tropical Depression 7. So,
1 year ago today was the first outline of Helene in the Western Caribbean. 20% chance is how it started in the Western Caribbean. And we know what happened about 10 days later. So
mhm.
let's
Yeah.
talk TD7. Let me get the right screen up here. There it is. There's Flashcast. Let's go to the cone first. Let's go to our friends at the National Hurricane Center. TD7 expected to be a hurricane by Saturday night into Sunday. As it approaches Bermuda, I mean, you kind of extrapolate this out, Garrett, and you wonder if Bermuda could be under the gun here in about a week or so. And some of the computer model guidance thinks that could happen.
Yeah, and I can't see your screen here, so I'm not sure if that's an issue or not. But
What is an
yeah, I
issue?
mean, so
How about
I'll
this?
talk over while there we okay. There's a shit. There we go. Now I can see.
There we go.
Um, Yeah. Initially the first probably 48 to 72 hours here, it's TD7 will be entangled with an upper level low feature, ingest some dry air. I mean, even looking at it this morning, it looks pretty rugged. Yesterday
Nice.
it was really I mean it really looks like a Western Pacific type of type of genesis and organization, just such a broad gyre of a circulation. Definitely yesterday it was right on the right track to become a depression and a tropical storm. I'd argue it might not be a depression right now. Just multiple vortices, and a broad low level structure, but. It's now becoming intertwined with this upper level low feature, ingesting dry air, a lot of southwesterly shear, really kind of not making things favorable for the next 2 to 3 days. And then after that time, depending on how the structure looks, we'll probably see this thing start to ramp up. And then, yes, like you said, approaching Bermuda, we'll have some upper level ridging to the north of it, an upper level anti cyclonic feature over it, which should allow for it to get vertically stacked and have, before it starts getting picked up in the westerlies, a bit of time to intensify and then race on off to the north and east.
Yeah, the AI models haven't been super excited about this.
Hmm.
Um, we'll see if that changes. I mean, the 60 euro AI, it has it as almost an open low, or at least a half
Hmm.
open low as it goes right over Bermuda next
Hmm.
Tuesday morning. So it seemed like the zero Z trend, the overnight models were a lot less favorable with
Hmm.
development long term with this. That just goes back to what we've seen in the Atlantic the past 3 or 4 weeks. This has been the quietest peak season since the 90s. I mean,
Hmm.
not even 2015. 2015 had a few hurricanes in the month of September. We couldn't even get those until maybe this weekend, which would be what, the 20th?
Right.
Saturday's the 20th. So let's pull up the ensembles here. These are just noticeably weaker by
Yeah.
Saturday night into Sunday.
Hmm. Yeah.
You're going to say something?
Yeah. Yeah. No, just the guidance picking up on, the reality of, when if a low level system is like we said, intertwined is the right way to say it, I think, with an upper level feature that works against the organization of a tropical system. The models, until you actually see how much disruption there will be with TD7, until they can see it, it's the same thing as 91L. Until they could see that there was not going to be very much convection, that's when they can start to pick up on, oh, this is not going to be as favorable as what we see. Well, the models are working off of several different variables, and here we can see the flashcast future radar. This is an example of where how it could get going, but look how it just turns east very quickly before it gets to Bermuda. So it'll be interesting for them. But the models see very warm ocean temperatures. They see that it's a favorable time of year climatologically, um, and then the reality hits of tuts, uh, too much dry air, a lot of vertical wind shear. It's just a not a favorable pattern out there right now, and there is more vertical vorticity and lift in the air, which is allowing for thunderstorms to generate, which we did not see with 91L. But now there's way more shear in the basin. So it's just if you don't have one, the other is causing an issue. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do want to show that what the this was interesting. This is one of the more
yep.
interesting things I've seen so far in the past month or so. Some of
Hmm.
the Google AI models thinking of this is a pretty good signal. I mean, real. I don't know how many members are in the FNV3. I don't know if it's
Hmm.
25 or 30 like the GFS, but I mean that's one,
Hmm.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's like 12 to 15 members that get something going in the Caribbean and eventually into the Gulf. I mean, this is 2 weeks out. This is forecast hour 312.
Right.
So this is 13 days away. But this fits climatology, and this is exactly what happened with Helene last year in
Right.
terms of formation timeframes.
Um, Can I do I have the ability to share my screen
I
on
think you
this,
do.
or will
Yeah,
this we can I guess we can try it out in these early runs and
we can
see if
find
it
out.
works. Yeah. Um, can this be seen and shared?
Yeah, I just need to blow it up here. Hold on.
Okay.
Let me do this. Stand by. We'll do this, and then we'll do this, and then we'll do that, and then we'll make it bigger, and it's all you. The quality's not great, but we can see it. That's
Okay.
good.
Okay. This is just another way of looking at what you were showing with um, the Google DeepMind, their AI ensemble suite. We could see TD7 here. Some of the strong, and this is it's a very cool site. You go to deepmind.google.com and their weather lab. You can really go through each individual ensemble, and it'll show you a picture of give you a pretty clear picture of what is what is the strength of it at any given moment, the strength of what each individual ensemble member is showing, the
Mm-hmm.
track, so on and so forth. It does this when we have genesis of a cyclone or something that is tagged by the by the Hurricane Center as a
As an
depression, or
invest,
if
yeah.
it's or as an invest. Yes, correct. So we loop this out. We get to day 10 and beyond, and we see the population of these dots here in the Southwest Atlantic and the Caribbean. I've watched every run of the Google DeepMind. This is the first time it's been showing this.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be an interesting trend to monitor. Anytime you're seeing these pinks, reds, this is indicating hurricane status. And so something that is interesting is you do see these start to perk up in the Central Caribbean. And so what I don't think this will be if it were to develop purely a Central American gyre system. It would be aided by a tropical wave that comes through the MDR into the Caribbean and then does not get going until the Western Caribbean. Very similar to what we saw with like a Hurricane Matthew in 2016, similar to a Harvey. Not that these storms are going to happen, but Harvey, which really got going in the southern in the Gulf and the Bay of Campeche, was a tropical wave. Actually, was a tropical storm earlier in its lifetime. So, anytime you can get a wave to aid in this kind of broad cyclonic flow that you get over Central America this time of year, that tends to aid in the potential for genesis. So the key is to watch over the next 5 to 7 days. Is there a pretty stout wave that will be moving through the MDR. And then as we get into this time next week, do we see any surface reflection in the Caribbean to potentially, have something to track in the Western Caribbean? I mean, this is so far out, again, 10 to 12 days out, but it's worth noting that this has not shown any sort of Western Caribbean signal all season. And so
Yeah.
for it to be showing it now is something of a bit of interest. We're grasping at straws a little bit right now, but um,
Yeah, but
the overall
climatology
background state,
favors it,
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Climatology does favor it. And it's
Hmm.
what we saw
Yep.
last year with, as we mentioned, with Helene and Matthew and so many other September and let's go back to that. September and late September and early October systems.
Right.
Michael in October was pretty similar. In 2018, when it slammed the Panhandle, that was the
Hmm.
first Cat 5 to hit the U.S. since Andrew in '92. Um, so the
Right.
trends the past day or so have been a weaker Gabrielle. Gabrielle may not even turn into a hurricane. I mean, to be
Hmm.
quite honest, like the GFS ensemble is crazy weaker now. I mean, you've got three
Hmm.
or four members that turn this into a hurricane,
Hmm.
but that's it. My question with what's going to happen in the Caribbean is that what is left over of of the other disturbance?
Right, right, exactly. And so, I mean, if we go to any other, looking at any other models, and just seeing if there's any, you look at the 850 vorticity, maybe even 700 millibar vorticity, and just see if there's any sort of reflection from that wave that gets all the way west. Um, the GFS doesn't do it necessarily because it has just so much shear and dry air in the middle of the basin. But the European, it does have some reflection that does try to get, we saw with the European AI ensembles, you see some bit of increased activity in the Western Caribbean, Southwest Atlantic, but the European does have um, a wave get into the Central Caribbean. It runs it over the island of Hispaniola, the Dominican Republic, and Haiti, and then Cuba, and then has in the Bahamas day 12. So there is some, you can see it there, right there. Yep, that just kind of that the highlighted area of darker, lighter greens and yellows. And so that is something to watch, especially for this time of year. Does this get into the Central and Western Caribbean? And then what is the pattern from there on out?
Yeah, and you've got a cutoff low at hour 288 over Kentucky. I don't think you can't put much stock in that at hour
Right.
288 in terms of steering
Yeah.
currents. So
Yeah.
the Euro AI doesn't have much at all here, I will say. Just
Hmm.
at 850, it kind of shears it apart there. It kind
Yeah.
of forms a secondary wave
Hmm.
because we've been talking about three wave axes for the past few days. There's three areas of spin. Vorticity is spin in the atmosphere.
Hmm.
Um, this would be Gabrielle. This is the next one that the Hurricane Center has outlined, and then maybe there's a third one that's moving off the coast of Africa. So
And if
does
you
that?
back at
Yeah, that doesn't. It kind of
go
falls apart. So
yeah, go to the initialization of the model, the model run, if you will, on the left. Sorry, yeah, right there. And how many runs can you go back? Can you go back 4 runs?
you can go back to yesterday morning.
Yeah, there was a run. There were a couple runs on the AI. If you go all the way to the end, that was keeping something into the. Yeah, it might have been several runs ago.
The
Too
60
far
actually kind of
back.
tries to put it back together here.
Yeah, yeah. So those are again, we're grasping at straws a little bit, but something that we have not seen this season is a wave hold itself together into the Western Caribbean.
Yeah,
That's what all these
yeah.
things need. It just needs to get in that area, and it's got rocket fuel to go off of and a favorable climate, climatology to work with. But um, it's something that has not happened yet to this time frame in the season.
How about we talk
I
about a little
can,
something
yeah,
different?
yeah, yeah. Let's
How
get
about
away
severe
from
weather season?
right.
How about that? And
Yeah.
how about that? We got a little fall severe weather trying to perk back up here.
Mhm.
And there were even a couple other models that were bullish with some more severe weather. Um, it's kind of interesting that both the Euro and the AI both have some semblance of a cutoff low there.
Mhm.
Um, actually, yeah,
I'm
the
stressing out about it for a couple weeks from now I'll be in State College for the Penn State Oregon whiteout game, and the GFS has about an inch and a half of rain that Saturday, and the European does have a cutoff as well. It's not as bad, but I'm I'm banking on, it's a day 12 cutoff and it'll bounce around, but that makes me nervous. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if you saw there was a pretty good little tornado outbreak in North Dakota a couple days ago.
yeah.
Some pretty amazing images out of there. We're starting to hit that secondary season, right? That you have the first season obviously in the spring. But as we get the transition into the transitional season, you start getting the jet digging a little bit more, collision of air masses, a little bit more of a descript flow, if you will, rather than a nondescript flow aloft. You start getting some the potential for some severe weather outbreaks.
Get some kinematics back in here. Get some
Absolutely.
severe
Yeah.
weather wants wind shear. Tropical cyclones do not want wind
Hmm.
shear. And speaking of wind
Hmm.
shear, I just can't believe on September 17th, 1 week after the peak, this is our system that we're watching.
Yeah.
TD7 looking
Yeah.
real good this morning on
Yeah.
satellite, clearly.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking yesterday, there was a sneaky little system yesterday that impacted the Virginia Capes, Virginia Beach directly, the Delmarva Peninsula, into coastal New Jersey as well. 2 to 4 feet of storm surge. Was it tropical? Probably not. Was there some subtropical characteristics? Probably. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a whole nother discussion. But we spend so much time, talking about these, deep tropical systems when you can have something from, that's a cold core low, something that is a little bit, non-tropical in nature, have just as much impact. And so, the Virginia Beach metro area, Norfolk, yesterday really got hammered, several inches of rain, tropical storm force wind gusts, some storm surge. So, that is, we're in that time of year as well. Nor'easter season, anything that can kind of cut off and tap the Gulf Stream will be an issue in the Northeast states. But overall, I mean, it's the fall is generally a very quiet time of year weather-wise. And if you don't have the tropics to play along, in general, there's just not a whole lot to talk about overall.
It's good pumpkin patch weather, right? It's
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah, yeah. Just not on Saturdays. Just not on
Yeah,
Saturdays.
just like fall weddings on Saturdays. That's never good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly, exactly. Yeah,
What was I going to say about that? I don't remember. Zero Z GFS keeps the. I didn't look at this. It looks like it keeps the. Yeah,
yeah.
it kind of
Keep.
shears it apart here, and then it brings it back together right south
Hmm.
of Havana, and then he yanks it north right over
Hmm.
Bimini between Nassau and Miami.
Hmm.
Um, that's the weekend
Yeah,
Miami plays Florida State, so no worries there.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, the GIA, you go back a little bit farther, more like day 10. It's got, one, two, three different areas of vorticity in the MDR. Like, who knows how that's going to play out, how that
or is this one just
ITC
standing
lead's going to break
still?
down. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you get some nondescript flow. You really don't get any. You have that trough digging in from the north and out in the Northeast Atlantic, and it just tries to erode the ridge, and it has nowhere to go but stationary or north. It's just a not favorable pattern for anything in the MDR to get going. But even so, anything when it comes to a wave to get going or hold itself together, like we said, to get back in an area that might be a little bit more favorable.
Mm-hmm. CSU's got a really good. I'm sure you use this one. Machine
Yep.
learning,
Yeah, really
severe
like
weather.
this.
Got a little something on Monday, but I bet this is going to start perking up last week of the year, last week of the month, I should say.
Hmm. Yep.
And then CPC, I
Yeah.
talked about this in the video yesterday. Let's pull. Nope. Yep. It's interesting they're outlining the MDR again that first week of October, because usually by October, the MDR, the main development region between
Hmm.
Africa and the Lesser Antilles, starts to shut off. But
Right.
CPC says maybe not so fast. And they're also outlining, like we've mentioned, the Western Caribbean and the Gulf, both next week and that first week of October.
Right. Yep. Yeah, I mean, the MJO is rotating into a little bit more of a favorable phase.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting some vertical lift in the basin. I mean, if you go to a basin-wide image of an IR image, and you can do it through Weatherbell, I think, or you can do it through Tropical Tibbets. It doesn't matter. Um, I mean, there's a lot more convection going on in the basin right now,
Mm-hmm.
way more than what you saw a week ago. So that's not by accident. Things have definitely become thermodynamically more favorable. It's just a matter of, you have an upper level low digging in between 70 and 60 west. You have another upper level low feature at 45 west. You have a very broad base trough, up between 30 and 40 north. The Gulf is shut down due to a lot of shear right now. So, like we said, you get one, then you lose the other. I mean, August couldn't have been more favorable from a shear perspective.
Yep.
But here we are in mid to late September or mid-September, and now you're getting the convection. Do you get a 10 to 15 day stretch where both line up? That's the question here.
That is. I think we'll see something in the Caribbean and the Gulf, but it's very interesting that the deep mine is coming around to it. We'll see if the Euro
Mhm.
AI does, because it hasn't yet. If we take this out, there's a couple members. There's a
Yeah,
few.
yeah.
Okay,
And
there's
this is
actually the
more
zero Z was a lot. The 6Z did not have much at all.
right. It's bouncing back and forth. There's a little bit more there, but it's
That's a much more
definitely.
favorable look.
Yeah, there's more of a signal. I mean, it had nothing 3 days ago. So again, you're looking
Mm-hmm.
for these trends. Let's see what things look like on Friday if these things still have it at day 10. And if there is a trackable wave, that's going to be the key because this isn't purely a gyre. a product of the Central American gyre. There's a little bit more of, like we said, interaction with a tropical wave getting in there. So it'll all be kind of predicate on that. And that will be a trackable feature in the
Yeah.
next 5 days or so.
Yeah. It's this one right here.
Hmm.
And there's another one trying to move even a lower latitude. That's too low. That's honestly more the ITCZ right here. But yeah, this one might even be the one to keep a closer eye on right over Cape Verde. And you got a lot going on here. Like we said, the Western Caribbean, but that's all not really tropical wave oriented. This cold front in Florida has just been stalled out down there.
Hmm.
So, and
Yeah.
then the low we were talking about yesterday, Mr. Joe Bastardi having a field day on X, the Everything app yesterday. It's
Yeah.
fertile, but you know, would they go back and postseason and name that? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I think Dr. Greg Postel made a good point yesterday. I believe it was him. He talked about this. Hey, this looks like it's trying to become tropical.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we at least mark it? Right. We mark non-tropical areas of low pressure in the Northeast Atlantic and give it 10% chance of formation. And the description will be a non-tropical area of low pressure might acquire some tropical characteristics.
Yeah.
Why don't we at least mark it so that there's a little bit more in the way of communication? They're issuing severe thunderstorm warnings for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts when there's not really much in the way of, it's not a severe thunderstorm. It's a non-tropical to subtropical area of low pressure, creating those winds.
Mm-hmm.
The point of the game, I understand we're trying to be scientific. I understand that the agencies are trying to be, go by the book. None of this matters if the general public can't understand anything that's being said or communicated.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes we lose the plot a little bit on that. So we've seen this before. We saw this last year. I'm sure you remember with, I think it was potential tropical cyclone 7 or 8 that went into the Carolinas.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it was pretty nasty. We see these once every 2 or 3 years where we're just kind of, we might be a little bit asleep at the wheel, and it sneaks up on us a little bit. And I mean, it wasn't something that looked super impressive to us. We would have been all over it, right? It looked like a non-tropical feature, but in the last 48 hours, it trended towards being something that could have been a little bit more tropical in nature. Um, in my opinion, we probably should at least mark it. We don't have to classify it, but mark it with some sort of 10-20% chance, just so that there's a little bit more public knowledge on what might be coming. So,
Yeah. Virginia folks in Virginia Beach, Hampton Roads area probably got a little sideswiped yesterday. Maybe didn't expect
hmm
that to happen.
hmm
Because yeah, if things don't get a name, nobody really cares. I mean that's kind of just
right,
the fact of the matter.
right,
So
right. Yep, yep,
all
yep.
right. We got 7. We've got that area to watch. We've got 2.5 months left in hurricane season. It's the quietest peak season in 30 years. It's the quietest season
hmm
period in at least 10 years. What do you think, Garrett? What's your next 5-6 week prediction?
Yeah, it's interesting. We did I won't give any names. We did an interview for someone in development who works with longer range AI prediction, specifically in the tropics. And he was very gung ho on. I asked him at the end, like, well, what is your model seeing for the rest of the season? He said, end of September and October, he sees a busy end game. So, and he was very confident in it, and has been very confident in his 30 to 50-day predictions. This interview was about 20 days ago or so. So,
Yeah.
um, you know, I see. It only takes one. Remember, like,
Oh yeah.
22 was pretty quiet until Ian. Obviously 18 with Michael. Um, and we have to keep in mind with how things are warmer right now generally, with ocean temperatures, with the overall atmosphere, things are kind of backed up 10 to 15 days, I would say, at least in the last 5 years or so. And what I mean by that is if the peak, if the 1900 to 2000 peak was September 10th, maybe nowadays it's September 20th to 25th, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that means that the downtrend is still is still active as you get into early October. Milton was what, October 5th to 10th in that time
Yeah,
frame.
like the set. Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and that was what, the third strongest cyclone in the basin ever, fifth strongest cyclone in the basin ever.
hmm
So all that to say, what am I seeing the next 5 to 6 weeks? I think we're quiet the next 7 to 10 days generally. Um, and it just takes one or two. I still think that we're going to see one or two get going in the Western Caribbean, something in the Gulf, and then we'll go from there. The general pattern overall across the country, we have finally broken out of this, persistence of troughing in the east. There is still a favorability of going to a trough or a cutoff low, but we're not as well below normal. We have backed a little bit closer to a general kind of omega block, just centering across the country, which allows for things exactly like this: undercutting of the jet, upper level low, because we're shortening wavelength. The days are getting shorter. We could see some bowling balls roll across the country, which could leave some areas. If you're on the front right quadrant of that bowling ball, or front, the front quadrant of it, it's going to be nasty weather. But otherwise, you get up into Minnesota and southern Canada with this pattern, it ends up being a really nice time of year. So
yeah.
you're just kind of at the mercy of where these upper level lows track. And that's just something, the general pattern we're going to have to watch.
And this is not dissimilar to September 26th last year when Helene
Mhm.
made landfall. It,
Absolutely.
I mean, this is
Great point.
incredibly similar
Great
to
point.
last year with a cutoff
Great
low
point.
over the arc, over the, I guess, the cutoff low last year is a little further east, more
Hmm.
over the Mississippi, but I'll tell you what, that is very, very similar.
Yep. Yep. You just don't have a system to pick it up. And that's that's goes to a broader discussion that, we can touch on. But, you know, everybody with, that's the fickleness of the weather,
Yeah.
right? You have tropical systems are my dad always used to call it kind of a cork in the stream, right? They don't dictate the pattern dictates them. They're just a
hmm
feature of it. They're the same as a broad mesoscale convective complex that develops every day during, certain ports of the season in the Central Plains. They just have less frictional effects. They're able to maintain themselves a little bit longer, but they're very delicate beings, and you can have the same pattern twice. And last year it caused a 125 billion dollar devastation in the Carolinas and the Appalachians. And then you can have the same pattern this year, and there's no hurricane. And it's maybe some showers, might be some heavy rain in the Appalachians due to some orographic lift, but it's just the general public doesn't understand necessarily sometimes the fickleness of the weather as a whole, and so and that's our job to make sure that we communicate that.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. All right. Every Wednesday, right here
Yeah.
on the Flash Weather YouTube channel, it's good warm up stuff for if hurricane season does wake up, and of course
Hmm.
for 2026 severe weather season. Maybe we'll make it more than just once a week if we go,
Yeah.
if things get busy next March, April, and May. But a lot of time between now
Yeah.
and then. For Garrett, I'm Dave. We'll see you next Wednesday. We'll have an update out here, another short in about probably an hour and a half. Got to wait for the 11 a.m. NHC advisory, the latest on 7 forecasts to be Hurricane Gabrielle right now. We'll keep you posted on that. And what would be Umberto, I think is the H word this year,
Mm.
Garrett. And
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
Karen. Karen is
Oh,
waiting
Karen's
for the
waiting.
names.
I already see the memes. And
Yeah.
you know what, man? As a big believer that, there meme lords might run the world, that would play right into it if Hurricane Karen was the one to inflict
Yeah.
pain on people. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. The conspiracy theorists would have a field day with that
Yes.
one.
Yes.
All right. Garrett, thanks for joining us, and
Yeah,
we'll do
thanks,
it
Dave.
again next